Now let's return to Living a Sacred Life.
Hello and welcome back. So as we move into our third segment of the show, I'd like to take this opportunity to share a little bit about me with you. Now, what I'm going to share is more the story that I used to tell. And I want you to be very mindful and listen to find the key words and phrases that I was using at that time to shape my life. And as you listen to the language I used to use, notice past tense, don't use it anymore. The language I used to use, I just pay attention to what life do you think I was shaping? What was I attracting? What was I manifesting? What was unfolding before me based upon the story I used to tell? So, suppose I just met you and we got into a conversation and I started off with, well, my name is Raymond Anderson. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I grew up in, it's not really an abusive household, but when I went to therapy many years ago, after seeing or witnessing a murder, one of the therapists told me that I, in fact, was an abused child of alcoholic parents. And though I wasn't beaten often per se, when I was beaten pretty bad. Not bad enough that you had to go to the hospital or anything, but bad enough that it emotionally tore me apart. I had siblings I'm the youngest of 7, and my older brothers, no sisters, my older brothers, all at some point in their lives either used drugs, sold drugs, or something drug related. Because my next brother and I are several years apart, I sort of grew up as an only child. I grew up quiet. I grew up shy. I was oftentimes, because my father was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS, when I was really young, I spent a lot of time being scared, or rather I should say this in the present tense since that's what it's supposed to be as if. I spent a lot of time being afraid that my father's going to die from this disease. In school, I'm not one of the popular kids. I mean, I'm in my own little group of quote unquote the nerds, but I'm not really one of the popular kids. I get straight A's. I'm on honor roll. I love practicing martial arts. I tend to be very accident prone, and I suffer from migraines. The longest migraine headache I've ever had was 1.5 years, constantly nonstop. The doctors tested me from head to toe, fingernails, hair follicles, everything, trying to find out what was wrong. They thought I had a brain tumor, but in fact I didn't. They deduced that it was stress related. And I never seemed to be able to do anything right. Now, that's a summary of the story that I used to tell. Did you hear the tone that I was setting? Did you hear the vibrational frequency that I was putting out into the universe? What story was I in fact telling? What type of movie would that be? Would that be something that you leave the theater feeling inspired about? Do you look forward to reading the next chapter of that story? Not really. I mean, it's sort of like I was walking around with the doom and gloom cloud of despair over my head while lightning struck at my feet. Trust and believe now I tell quite a different story. Now I understand the perfection that is inherent in every relationship, in every situation, and in every encounter. Everything that I experienced in my life has aided me or aided in bringing me to where I am now. Just as my experiences in this now moment will shape the next now moment, and so forth. All of the connections that I made this past weekend in New York City are all perfectly, inherently, divinely established. Not established by some God outside of me, but established within my own higher self, within my own Christ consciousness, within the God that is in me, as me, of me. Wherever I am, God is. I write the chapters. I determine which direction or which course my life is going to take, because very easily, suppose I go back and start telling that story of doom and gloom. My life path will change drastically. So, as I said at the beginning, it's important to be mindful of the words that we use when we tell our story. It's also very important to be mindful of how you talk about other people. Do you talk about them as having cancer? Do you talk about or say things like, he is an alcoholic? She is a survivor of abuse. Or he is lazy. She never does anything right. I can't stand her. She makes me sick, etc., etc. The language that we use is powerful. I cannot stress that enough. The words that you speak tell us about what you believe. They don't really speak about the other person. Just because you say someone else is an alcoholic, that has nothing to do with you. Reverend Ellen Davenport on Unity FM has often said on her radio station, mind your own business. When you start trying to get involved in what someone else is doing, trying to control their life, how you want them to be or behave, or what you want them to do, you're more focused on them than you are you. Before you start telling somebody else to cut the grass in their backyard, it might be wise to look out your window and see how tall your grass is. Do you need to wash your windows before you start telling somebody else what they need to do with theirs? If all of us took more time and focused on self, change me. This is why Gandhi said, be the change. He didn't say go out and change something. He said for you and me, each individual one of us, to be the change. If I become more loving, then my becoming more loving is going to affect others. It's going to send ripples of energy out. And through osmosis, through that divine connection, it starts to help other people transform and wake up. It doesn't necessarily do it for them, but it helps them. It shows them that they too can wake up. But it has to be me. If every single individual person right here, right now, decided that they were no longer going to engage in any type of road rage, road criticism, anything that we would call negative per se, while driving in their car. If every single one of us got in our car and affirmed, this is going to be a wonderful drive from this point to my destination. Everyone on the road with me, they are all safe, careful, loving, and compassionate drivers. Each and every one of us is going to arrive at our destination safely, carefully, and wholly. This is what I affirm. It is so, and so it is. And then we drive off. It sets the tone for everyone else on the road. It's almost like there's a buffer in front of me of energy that says, any driver who does not fit into what I just affirmed, let them be somewhere else while I'm at this place on the road. If each and every one of us did that, then everybody on the road would be aligned with the same thought. There wouldn't be anyone else on the road who we're going to yell at because they didn't turn their turn signal on. Because everyone's going to be mindful and say, using my turn signal, 1, it's the law. 2, it's a safe way of driving because it lets the people before me and behind me know what I'm doing. Everyone's going to be mindful of the speed that they're driving. They're going to be mindful of driving and texting or driving and speaking on the cell phone. Everyone's going to be mindful of this. It starts with me, though. I can't force you to use your turn signal. I can't force you not to curse the person out in the car beside you. I can only focus on me. And it starts with, what story am I telling myself? What story am I telling you about me? What story am I telling you about other people? Because once again, it doesn't reflect them. It reflects me. You know, I live not far outside of D.C., Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Very political city. Oftentimes you hear or overhear people talking about politics. And it often amazes me the criticism that people throw out. They blame this politician or that, this senator or that, this lawmaker or that for whatever is going on. Blaming them says nothing about them. It tells me what you personally believe about what you're talking about. When people say that, for example, President Obama is messing up the economy, it doesn't tell me anything about President Obama. It tells me that you personally believe that the economy, one, is something that can be messed up. Two, you believe that it is messed up. The stories that we tell each other, the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell our friends, our family, our neighbors, tell each other who and what we are in that moment as we tell the story. Take a few moments each morning, set the tone of your day by determining what story your day is going to unfold as. As you get out of bed, expressing gratitude for your day, for a great night's sleep, put forth a prayer saying, today is a day, not today is going to be a day, today is a day of peace, power, and prosperity. Today, all of my work endeavors are working together smoothly and comfortably. Everyone that I am supposed to meet is coming to me. I am making divine connections. I am expressing and receiving love from everyone that I see and everyone who sees me, etc. If we start our day in such a manner, we're setting a different story in motion. Determine what living sacredly means to you. What does it mean to be or to have a sacred life? A life of peace, a life of abundance, a life of joy, a life of love, a life where you are truly happy. Not happy because of what's happening outside of you. Not happy or dealing with conditions of what someone else is doing to you, but truly taking and standing in your power as the creator of your life, standing in your power as the director, the author, the quote-unquote God force in and of your own life, determining what you are going to do as you move forward. We're getting ready to enter into our fourth and final segment of the show. I thank you very much for tuning in. I look forward to talking with you more. Stay tuned. You are listening to Voice America, the Seventh Wave Network. I'm Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, and this is Living a Sacred Life. Chat with you in a second.